This part of the testimony, Diddy's daughters left the courtroom. Yes, his children were there today, as well as his mother. This man also recalled Diddy giving him specific directions for how he should be having with Cassie, including instructions to apply more baby oil. On the same encounter, he was a witness to Diddy violently attacking Cassie. He said Cassie was sitting at her computer when Diddy called her from the bedroom. When she replied to hold on a second, he says that Diddy came out of the room, walked over to Cassie, grabbed her by her hair, and started dragging her by her hair into the bedroom.
Phillips said Cassie paid him and tipped him after their encounters, and that Diddy gave explicit instructions, such as applying baby oil and taking part in role-playing scenarios. He recalled witnessing violence during these events, including Diddy dragging Cassie by her hair into a bedroom when she didn't respond quickly enough. Phillips admitted he was afraid to go to the police, saying, "My thought was this was someone with unlimited power, and even if I did go to the police, I might still end up losing my life." The involvement of family members in these freak-offs only deepens the mystery. To understand why the alleged footage of Janice Combs is such a game changer, it's important to look at what these parties really entailed according to those who testified in court. Cassie and others described events that were far from normal gatherings. They were highly orchestrated, forced performances that sometimes went on for days. Prosecutors claimed Diddy supplied Cassie and others with drugs like MDMA to keep them awake and performing for hours or even days at a time. It's alleged these events often span multiple days, involve numerous escorts, and sometimes cross state lines. The prosecution has revealed astonishing details about how these parties were organized and controlled.
What's up, Mom?
Everything's good, baby. I'm here with you. Yeah. I love you.
Few could have imagined that old footage of Diddy and his mother would one day resurface and haunt them in such a dramatic way. Reports now suggest the spotlight in Diddy's trial has shifted to his mother's unsettling involvement in the infamous freak-off parties. Allegations so serious they now cast a shadow over his sons as well. If any of this is true, it may signal the unraveling of the entire Combs family legacy. Let's examine how we got here, starting with Diddy's troubling dynamic with his mother. Whispers on the street claim the judge was visibly shaken out. Viewing alleged footage linking Diddy's mother, Janice Combs, directly to those notorious parties that have dominated headlines, the courtroom was left in disbelief when this explosive evidence was revealed. But before diving into the details, let's revisit the unusually close bond between Diddy and his mother that had people raising eyebrows long before these revelations. In 2022, a video began circulating online showing Diddy kissing Janice Combs on the lips while they received IV drips together. In the same clip, Diddy affectionately calls her Mom Dukes, boasts about taking her to a strip club, and makes other startling remarks. The footage resurfaced in September 2024, just as Diddy was arrested on major charges, making its timing even more impactful. In this uncomfortable video, Diddy not only introduces Janice as Mom Dukes, but also calls her beautiful and single, tossing out a series of shocking comments. Let's take a closer look at this footage.
Yeah, my mom's gorgeous. Well, let me introduce you to my mom. Call Mom Dukes. She's getting a drip with me. She's hydrating. What's up, Mom?
Watching this interaction, it's impossible to ignore how strange things get, especially as Diddy openly discusses his mother's single status and their outings to strip clubs together.
Mom's is single. Mom's is single. She come with me to the strip club. I don't care.
Diddy didn't hold back, boasting that he brings his 83-year-old mother to strip clubs, saying, "She comes with me to the strip club. I don't care." Janice played along, responding, "Everything's good, babe. I'm here with you. I love you." But the exchange left viewers deeply unsettled. When this video resurfaced after Diddy's 2024 arrest, social media erupted. Outlets like the Daily Mail and Mara described the video as bizarre and disturbing, particularly focusing on the kiss and strip club references. Most people online voiced serious discomfort with the gesture, which only fueled suspicions about Diddy's relationship with his mother, especially given the legal storm swirling around him. Adding yet another layer to this story are allegations raised in the documentary Diddy: The Making of a Bad Boy, which premiered on Peacock on January 14, 2025. In this documentary, Tim Dog Patterson, a longtime friend, shared stories of wild parties allegedly thrown by Janice Combs at their Mount Vernon home. According to Patterson, these gatherings were filled with alcohol, drugs, and explicit activities, with guests ranging from addicts to hustlers from Harlem. He described it as normal to walk into a room and find people naked, suggesting that environment may have shaped young Diddy's views and contributed to the troubling behavior now at the center of his legal battles. Patterson argued that this upbringing might have warped Diddy's perspective on relationship, potentially explaining some of the accusations currently under scrutiny in court. Despite the mounting controversy, Janice Combs has fiercely defended her son. In October 2024, after Diddy's arrest on federal charges, she released a statement through her attorney, Natalie G. Figures, expressing heartbreak over the allegations and describing the situation as a public lynching. She insisted Diddy was being condemned by false narratives rather than facts, emphasizing his right to defend himself. "It's heartbreaking to see my son judged not for the truth, but for a story built on lies," she declared. While acknowledging Diddy's flaws, she denied he was the villain portrayed in the media, painting herself as a loyal and supportive mother. Now, the latest rumors from the courthouse claim the trial judge had a dramatic reaction to new footage allegedly placing Janice Combs in a compromising spot at a freak-off party. Though the content has yet to be leaked, the judge's response indicates it could contain extremely distressing material, potentially implicating Janice in the very activities at the core of her son's charges. If these images do show Janice participating in or enabling the freak-off events, it could significantly bolster the prosecution's case, suggesting a long-standing pattern rather than isolated incidents. Janice Combs faces legal woes of her own too. In February 2024, she was sued by Kirk Burroughs, co-founder of Bad Boy Records, for allegedly helping Diddy seize his 25% ownership share in 1996. Claims that Janice actively concealed the fraud. This lawsuit hints that her involvement in Diddy's business dealings was deeper than many realized. Beyond the troubling links between Diddy and his mother, there have been questions about whether other family members were drawn into these controversial parties. While there's no public evidence confirming direct involvement of Diddy's family, members' troubling reports do involve his son, Christian King Combs. Christian faces allegations from a 2022 lawsuit accusing him of assaulting a woman on a yacht chartered by Diddy, with claims of a hedonistic atmosphere featuring drugs and questionable staff, similar to the freak-off parties described in Diddy's trial. While no sources directly tie Diddy's sons to those events, the pattern is concerning. Diddy's own past comments about his private parties, including a resurfaced 2002 interview, have also shocked many, as he seemed to normalize troubling treatment of women at his events.
They just, so you have, if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
His remarks about locking doors at parties take on a darker meaning in light of current allegations, hinting that such practices may have been routine in Diddy's world for years. Let's explore the current state of the trial and the serious accusations Diddy now faces. The proceedings began on May 5th, 2025, and as of May 20th, 2025, the trial is deep into its second week. Sean Diddy Combs is being tried in New York for racketeering, conspiracy, trafficking, and related crimes, charges that could put him behind bars for life if convicted. The prosecution claims Diddy orchestrated a criminal network over 2 decades, with the freak-off parties at the heart of their case. These events are said to have included drugs, coerced guests, and hired male escorts. According to testimony from Diddy's former girlfriend, Cassandra Cassie Ventura, these parties were fueled by substances like ecstasy and ketamine, with male prostitutes and elaborate costumes. Cassie's time on the stand was especially damaging. From May 12 to 15, 2025, she spent nearly 20 hours describing physical abuse, manipulation, and being forced to take part in these freak-offs. Her claims were backed by evidence including photos of injuries and surveillance footage from a 2016 hotel incident. Several witnesses have painted a disturbing picture of abuse and control within Diddy's inner circle. Dawn Richard, a former member of Danity Kane, a group formed by Diddy, testified about a 2009 incident where she saw Diddy punch Cassie in the face. She also described a dinner with celebrities like Usher, Now, and Jimmy Iovine, where Diddy allegedly punched Cassie in the stomach. Carrie Morgan, Cassie's former best friend from 2001 to 2018, gave detailed accounts of seeing Diddy assault Cassie, including an incident in their Hollywood Hills home and another in Jamaica where he dragged Cassie by her hair. Morgan also described a shocking 2018 event in which Diddy choked Cassie and struck her with a wooden coat hanger, which ultimately ended their friendship. David James, Diddy's former personal assistant, began his testimony on May 19, 2025, describing the intense environment at Bad Boy Entertainment and sharing that Cassie had warned him about Diddy's controlling behavior. The trial has also included testimony from male escorts who attended these freak-off parties. Daniel Phillips, one such witness, testified he was hired under false pretenses for a bachelorette party at the Gramercy Park Hotel in New York City.
The prosecutor says that the freak-offs often lasted multiple days and with multiple escorts, and sometimes forced them to travel out of state. The prosecutor says that Diddy directed everything and frequently had staff on hand to replenish lubricant, linens, and drugs for the women and himself, as well as cash for the escorts. And speaking of cash, prosecutors argue that Diddy paid a hotel security guard $100,000 in cash in exchange for that hotel security camera footage. Daniel Phillips says that he was hired under the pretense of stripping for women at a bachelorette party at the Gramercy Park Hotel in New York City. He testified that Cassie gave him a few $1,000s and would tip him at the end of the encounter. He said that after leaving, Ventura texted him to return for more with her, while Combs would pleasure himself in the corner of the room. The prosecutor asked how he interpreted that. The escort said he was threatening me. This escort had seen them for a period of about 2 years, but after this incident, he stopped.
The prosecution has laid bare the extensive support system behind these parties, detailing how Diddy personally oversaw every element. Staff members were always present, ready to supply fresh linens, lubricants, and drugs, not just for Diddy and the women, but for the escorts as well. Cash was always on hand. This paints a picture of a highly organized operation, not just a series of spontaneous get-togethers. Daniel Phillips offered a vivid account of how these events unfolded, describing how he was recruited under the pretense of stripping at a bachelorette party, only to find himself in situations where Diddy controlled every interaction with Cassie. Phillips explained that Diddy would give precise instructions, such as applying baby oil or acting out specific scenarios. In one encounter, Diddy even demanded to see Phillips's ID for insurance before he engaged with Cassie. When asked how that felt, Phillips said, "He was threatening me." After that incident, Phillips cut ties despite having been involved for about 2 years. Another surprising testimony came from Jonathan Audi, a former adult film actor who described himself as Diddy's slave. Audi alleged sexual encounters with both Diddy and Cassie Ventura, claiming he followed Diddy's every command. He stated he contracted herpes during these incidents and that cocaine use was rampant. Audi also mentioned taking liquid cocaine and signing a $5 million NDA in 2014 to keep quiet. Although Audi's credibility has been questioned due to erratic behavior during a 2018 arrest, a photo of an NDA dated July 9th, 2014, bearing Diddy's signature, supports at least some of his claim. While none of this directly implicates Combs adds a new layer to the prosecution's case. The prosecution has further argued that Diddy went to extraordinary lengths to hide his actions. According to the evidence, Diddy allegedly paid a hotel security guard $100,000 in cash to obtain security footage that showed him assaulting Cassie. Diddy's lawyer insisted this was to protect both himself and Cassie from negative publicity. But few find this explanation convincing. As for family involvement beyond Janice Combs, allegations have surfaced involving Diddy's son, Christian King Combs. In a 2022 lawsuit, Christian was accused of assaulting a woman on a yacht chartered by Diddy. The suit describes an environment filled with intoxicated guests, questionable staff, and drugs. Christian allegedly pressured Grace Marseilles, a steward, to drink possibly spiked tequila and then assaulted her in the yacht cinema, with the incident reportedly filmed by Rodney Lil Rod Jones, who has also sued Diddy for trafficking. The complaint, filed by attorney Tyrone Blackburn, paints the yacht trip as a supposed family outing that devolved into chaos. Aaron Dyer, the Combs family's lawyer, dismissed the claims as lewd and baseless and announced plans to seek dismissal. While these accusations echo the atmosphere described in Diddy's trial, there's no direct evidence that his sons participated in the freak-off parties. Another son, Justin Combs, was detained during a raid on Diddy's Los Angeles property, but released without any charges related to the parties. This leads to a troubling question. How much did Diddy's family know or participate in his alleged criminal enterprise? Footage rumored to show Janice Combs' involvement may provide answers. If it indeed depicts her facilitating or joining these events, it could reinforce the prosecution's argument that this was not a series of isolated incidents, but a systematic pattern involving Diddy's inner circle. Janice Combs has played a pivotal role in Diddy's life and career. She raised him in Harlem and Mount Vernon after his father's death in 1972, working as a model and teacher's assistant to support him. As Diddy rose to fame, Janice remained his most steadfast supporter, frequently appearing with him in public. Her influence extended into business. She is currently being sued by Kirk Burroughs, co-founder of Bad Boy Records, for allegedly helping Diddy seize his 25% ownership stake. This indicates that Janice may have been more deeply involved in her son's affairs than previously assumed. The timeline becomes especially compelling when considering Janice's public defense of her son, issued through her attorney in October 2024. At that point, many details about the freak-off parties had not yet surfaced. Now, with multiple witnesses and possibly damning footage, her unconditional support is being questioned. One of the most unsettling aspects of the testimony has been the descriptions of power dynamics within Diddy's world. Witnesses have recounted how Diddy used his wealth, influence, and status to exert total control, leaving victims feeling trapped and afraid to speak out. If Janice Combs was aware of or complicit in this environment, it would greatly intensify the seriousness of the allegations against the family. Another perspective worth examining is the relationship between Cassie Ventura and Diddy, which some witnesses have described as mutually toxic. Chopper, an artist signed to Bad Boy, claimed Cassie sometimes physically abused Diddy as well. In his words, when you're in a toxic relationship, sometimes both sides lash out. I've seen her hit him, so I can't say it was all one-sided. While this suggests there may have been violence on both sides, it does not discount the broader charges against Diddy, which involve a pattern of coercion and exploitation far beyond isolated incidents. The prosecution's core argument is that Diddy headed a criminal enterprise using force, fraud, or coercion to control victims and make them participate in illicit activities. Legally, this is a heavy charge, including racketeering, conspiracy, trafficking, and transporting individuals for prostitution, any of which could result in a life sentence if he's found guilty. To prove this, prosecutors must demonstrate that Diddy's actions constituted an organized criminal operation. If the footage involving Janice Combs is allowed into evidence, it could significantly strengthen the prosecution's case by showing this was a group effort, not just the action of one person. This would support the racketeering charge, which under the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, or RICO, is commonly used against organized crime. The prosecution must show that Diddy knowingly used force, fraud, or coercion in running this enterprise. If Janice is seen participating or facilitating, it becomes much harder for the defense to claim these were isolated incidents. The prosecution's narrative is supported by the testimony of witnesses like Don Richard, Carrie Morgan, and David James, all of whom have described a consistent pattern of violence, manipulation, and control, matching the charges against Diddy. Diddy's defense team, led by Mark Agnifilo, has focused on several strategies. One line of argument is that Diddy's actions were part of a consensual swinger lifestyle, not a criminal operation. Agnifilo has argued that Diddy believed this way of living, involving multiple partners and workers, was acceptable because it was common in his social circle. The judge, Arun Subramanian, has permitted this defense, but restricted references to other celebrities known for similar lifestyle, narrowing the argument's scope. Another argument is that any violence was mutual, with both Diddy and Cassie engaging in physical altercation. However, legal experts point out that mutual abuse is not recognized as a legal defense, as abuse is defined by ongoing control, not simply mutual violence. This approach has been compared to the defense used in the Trevor Bauer case, but experts like Lori Levinson from Loyola Marymount University and Bev Gooden, author of Surviving, stress that mutual abuse is not a legitimate legal strategy. He defense has also sought to humanize Diddy, portraying him as someone who simply lived an alternative lifestyle, not a criminal. This mirrors Agnefello's approach in defending Keith Raniere, the NXIVM cult leader, by arguing that the defendant's intentions were not malicious. Another major tactic is to challenge the prosecution's evidence, such as arguing that a 2016 video of Diddy attacking Cassie was manipulated, sped up, and presented out of order. The defense plans to call 2 witnesses to testify about the video's authenticity. They are also using statements from alleged victims to sow doubt about claims of coercion, highlighting times when individuals described encounters with Diddy as consensual. Their goal is to weaken the prosecution's portrayal of the freak-off parties as forced events. Additionally, the defense has accused the prosecution of bias during jury selection, particularly against black jurors, as part of an effort to ensure a fair trial. This tactic could sway jurors who might identify with Diddy's point of view. How the defense strategies will hold up against the new evidence involving Janice Combs is uncertain. If the footage truly shows her participating in or facilitating the freak-off parties, it could completely undermine the argument that these were consensual or isolated incidents, and could implicate her in the alleged criminal enterprise as well. While Janice Combs hasn't been charged with crimes related to the parties, her lawsuit with Kirk Burroughs suggests she may have been far more involved in her son's business affairs than many assumed, potentially even aware of or participating in the alleged criminal operation. The public's reaction to these revelations has been one of shock and outrage. The allegations against Diddy were disturbing enough, but the idea that his own mother could have been involved or turned a blind eye has only deepened the scandal. Social media has exploded with condemnation and disbelief, with many people questioning how a mother could enable or overlook such behavior. Media coverage of the trial has been relentless, with news outlets around the globe tracking every new development. The fresh allegations involving Janice Combs have only intensified the scrutiny, with commentators highlighting the far-reaching impact this could have on the case. Given the sensational nature of the allegations and Diddy's celebrity status, this has become one of the most closely watched legal battles in recent memory. As the trial progresses, we will continue to bring you the latest updates and explore what these revelations mean for the Combs family and beyond. The judge's reported strong reaction to the evidence involving Janice Combs indicates that this footage may become a decisive factor in the trial, potentially bolstering the prosecution's case that Diddy operated a criminal enterprise with. the involvement or knowledge of those closest to him, including his own mother. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the latest developments in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. For more updates and content like this, click one of the cards on your screen.
Crazy, man. She alleges that, Diddy, he made her hire and house with male prostitutes while he recorded it. And
lights, camera, action. Because she wasn't just hiring it for her. Don't get that effed up, Art. If you think that she was just hiring those male prostitutes for herself, nah. I used to wait outside of Turkish baths for them. You know what they do in the Turkish baths?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay. That's where a lot of gay men meet, and they all take hot baths together. To each his own, though, bruh. But that's a lot of that these guys get into when they start having certain meetings with certain people, and they meet them at the Turkish bath, and they do their meetings, and they meet their people in those type of situations.
The rumor mill is working overtime, spinning out theories faster than a DJ can scratch a record at an exclusive rooftop bash. What really happened during the recent raids? Was this a case of mistaken identity? Or did authorities uncover something worthy of a Hollywood thriller? Let's break down exactly what went. The dramatic events began at Diddy's Los Angeles home, where scenes unfolded that could have been lifted from an action-packed movie. Law enforcement swarmed the property with overwhelming force, shutting down the entire area. Exclusive footage from TMZ captured helicopters circling overhead, while dozens of police officers patrolled the ground below. The sheer magnitude of the operation left many in disbelief. Reports confirmed the raid was spearheaded by agents from Homeland Security Investigations in New York, working alongside HSI Los Angeles, HSI Miami, and local law enforcement. The heavy involvement of federal agencies only underscores the severity of the situation. Sources say the Southern District of New York is overseeing the case, and it appears directly connected to the sex trafficking allegations that have emerged against Diddy in recent months. These accusations have cast a long shadow over his reputation and have now resulted in this high-stakes search. As helicopters hovered, armed agents moved quickly and deliberately across the property, determined to find evidence tied to the ongoing investigation. In a shocking twist, video released by Fox showed several people in handcuffs near the mansion, and among them, to the amazement of many, were Diddy's own sons, Justin and King Combs. But the spectacle didn't end there. Additional footage from TMZ revealed federal agents even arrived by water, standing armed on a boat poised to support the raid. The level of coordination and planning displayed by law enforcement was extraordinary. Meanwhile, at the front of the shoe property, people were being questioned, deepening the mystery around the case. The identities and roles of these individuals remain unclear, leaving the public hungry for more information about their connection to Diddy and the alleged crimes. While chaos unfolded in Los Angeles, federal agents simultaneously executed a raid at Diddy's lavish Miami residence. Local police worked alongside Homeland Security to carry out the operation. Just as in LA, law enforcement officers were seen with guns drawn, combing through the Florida property for any evidence that could illuminate the alleged sex trafficking activities. The synchronized raids on both coasts of the country highlight the seriousness of the investigation. Sources say Diddy was in Miami as these raids took place. This raises the question, was he aware of what was happening in his homes, or was he blindsided by the swift and dramatic law enforcement response? During the raid, investigators seized Diddy's phones. While the exact number of devices taken is unclear, this move signals that authorities are leaving nothing to chance. What secrets could those devices hold? Could they provide the evidence needed to support the mounting allegations? The presence of federal agencies, armed law enforcement, and the timing of these coast-to-coast raids has left the public stunned. The scale of the investigation and its potential consequences for Diddy's legacy and career cannot be underestimated. Homeland Security Investigations in New York issued a brief statement confirming the raids were part of an ongoing investigation, but providing few details, leaving the public eager for more answers. Later, Diddy was questioned by customs agents at a private Miami airport. He was seen at the Miami Opa-locka Executive Airport around 6 p.m., pacing nervously after the interrogation, but as of that evening, he remained free. Back in California, neighbors provided further insights into life at Diddy's mansion. Ryan Mendelsohn, who lives nearby, described frequent scenes of glamorous women arriving at the house late at night. He reported seeing luxury cars and women in swimsuits between 1 and 3 a.m., assuming these were after parties hosted by a celebrity. Although he never saw Diddy with these women directly, the recent charges and raids have made him more suspicious. Mendelsohn recalled one Saturday not long ago when multiple SUVs dropped off guests all along the street, and explained that parties in the area happened throughout the week. Even on a random Tuesday in Beverly Hills, festivities might run from 2 to 5 a.m. He suggested these gatherings often spiraled out of control. During the raids, a sightseeing bus passed by the mansion, with tourists snapping photos and peppering media with questions. adding yet another bizarre layer to the unfolding scene. While the world waits for more information, attention has also turned to the numerous sexual assault lawsuits filed against Diddy in recent months. To grasp the gravity of these allegations, let's examine the lawsuit brought by R&B singer Cassie, a case that shook the industry. It all started in 2005, when Cassie first met Diddy at just 19 years old. By 2006, Diddy showed a romantic interest in her. According to her lawsuit, Diddy initially presented himself as a caring, protective figure, but Cassie soon found herself ensnared in a deeply unequal and violent relationship. As her music career took off, Diddy's hold on her only grew tighter. In 2007, she signed with his Bad Boy Records label, which gave him even more control over her apartment, her car, her wardrobe, and even her medical records. This level of domination was designed to ensure her obedience and dependence. The lawsuit claims that Diddy's abusive behavior was witnessed by staff and employees, yet none dared confront him. Cassie, terrified of the repercussions, suffered in silence, believing that going to the police would only make things worse. In 2009, the abuse reportedly reached a terrifying peak. Diddy allegedly kicked Cassie in the face multiple times, causing her to bleed. His staff then hid her away in a hotel room, isolating her from the outside world. Even then, Diddy's extensive network of companies and associates tracked her down. Employees pressured her to return, warning that refusing Diddy would destroy her entertainment career. Throughout her relationship with Diddy, Cassie suffered from memory loss due to heavy drug use and struggled with suicidal thoughts. The lawsuit even mentions that MRI results were sent directly to Diddy, underscoring his total control. But the most shocking detail came when Cassie revealed that Diddy forced her to participate in what he called freak-offs, arranged encounters where she had no choice but to organize and engage in sex acts with male sex workers while Diddy watched them recorded. These events reportedly happened in luxury hotels across the country, sometimes as often as once a week. Cassie would delete the videos from her phone, desperately trying to erase all evidence, but Diddy's control was so complete that she was even forced to watch deleted footage on a flight in 2012. Diddy's alleged vendetta against rapper Kid Cudi, who briefly dated Cassie, also surfaced in the lawsuit. Cassie claims Diddy had Kid Cudi's car blown up in his driveway as retaliation. Kid Cudi himself confirmed this story. The breaking point came in 2018 when Diddy allegedly forced his way into Cassie's home and raped her, ignoring her plea to stop. This traumatic incident led Cassie to finally leave him and cut ties with Bad Boy Records in 2019. Remarkably, just one day after Cassie filed her lawsuit, she and Diddy reached a settlement. The terms were not made public, prompting curiosity about what led to such a swift resolution. By settling out of court, Diddy avoided the potential release of damaging evidence during legal discovery. On November 18th, Diddy issued a statement wishing Cassie and her family well. His lawyer, Ben Brafman, emphasized that settling did not mean admitting guilt and described the resolution as mutual. Cassie's
Breaking news, the Department of Homeland Security has just confirmed to CNN that federal law enforcement agents have raided properties owned by musician and producer Sean Diddy Combs.
On to the latest legal drama involving rapper and music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. A new lawsuit filed by a producer and videographer.
Sean Diddy Combs is facing new allegations of sexual assault. This time, a woman claims the rapper drugged and sexually assaulted her in New York City back in 1990.
These Homeland Security officers were looking for evidence of crimes. So, for example, P. Diddy has been accused of sex trafficking. He's also been accused of non-consensual.
Civil suit was filed under the Adult Survivors Act, a New York law that allows people who experience sexual abuse as adults to file cases within a special one-year window, even if the statute of limitations had already expired. By acting within this window, Cassie was able to confront her alleged abuser and hold him accountable. The music industry's reaction was swift and intense. Singer-songwriter Tiffany Red published an open letter in Rolling Stone supporting Cassie's claims and recounting her own experiences with Diddy's abusive behavior. Red describes seeing Diddy verbally abuse Cassie at her 29th birthday and witnessing him dragging Cassie to FREAKOFF in the middle of the night. Rapper 50 Cent responded to the settlement by announcing a documentary about Diddy's sexual assault allegation, with proceeds going to victims. He confirmed on December 7th that the project would be handled by G-Unit Film and Television. The impact rippled through pop culture as well. Keisha, the singer, changed the lyrics of her hit song TikTok during a performance, swapping out the original line, "Wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy" for "Wake up in the morning feeling like me." This was widely interpreted as a show of solidarity with Cassie and other survivors of abuse. Support came from others too. Aubrey O'Day, a former member of Danity Kane, a group formed by Diddy, voiced her support for Cassie on social media, saying she had tried to warn people about Diddy's behavior for years. Dawn Richard, another Danity Kane alum, posted a message of support. wishing Cassie and her family peace and healing. But Cassie's wasn't the only lawsuit. Just days after her settlement, another woman, Dickerson Neal, filed a complaint against Diddy in Manhattan Supreme Court. She filed just before the New York State Adult Survivors Act expired. Neal alleges that in 1991, when she was a Syracuse University student, she reluctantly agreed to dinner with Diddy during a school break. What should have been an ordinary evening turned into a nightmare. Neal claims Diddy spiked her drink when she briefly left it unattended, and after dinner he took her to a music studio and then his home, where the assault allegedly occurred. She remembers being physically unable to stand or walk or feeling trapped. The lawsuit also includes a chilling revelation. A male friend, identified as Devontae Swing from the R&B group Jodeci, allegedly told Neal he had seen a sex tape of assault along with other men. When Neal asked who had watched it, he replied, everyone. Through a spokesperson, Diddy has denied these allegations, calling Neal's decades-old claims fabrications and a money grab. His team insists that neither the assault nor the companies named in the suit existed at the time. Despite this, denials, Neal's attorney, Jonathan Goldhirsch, stands firm in support of his client's claims. He highlights that the lawsuit was brought under the New York State Adult Survivors Act, which opened a unique one-year window for survivors of sexual abuse to seek justice. Goldhirsch states that Dickerson Neal has shown great bravery in stepping forward to hold Diddy accountable for his alleged actions. The legal battle between Dickerson Neal and Diddy is still ongoing, with the lawsuit naming not just Diddy, but also Bad Boy Entertainment, Bad Boy Records, and Diddy Enterprises as defendant. Attorney Tyrone Blackburn claims that his client's life has been irreparably harmed since agreeing to produce Diddy's album in August 2022. Producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones alleges that he was working under an implied work-for-hire agreement which required him to spend extended periods living with Diddy in Los Angeles, New York City, Miami, and even aboard a yacht in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Throughout my time with Mr. Combs, I witnessed, experienced, and endured things that went far beyond my responsibilities as a producer on the Love album, Lil Rod shared. Lil Rod, who describes himself as a heterosexual Christian man, claims he was subjected to unsolicited and unauthorized groping by Diddy, specifically alleging repeated touching of his anus. When Lil Rod reported his discomfort to Diddy's chief of staff, the response was simply, "You know Sean will be Sean." Blackburn even drew a comparison between Christina Coram, Diddy's chief of staff, and Ghislaine Maxwell, infamous for her association with Jeffrey Epstein. Lil Rod stated, "I voiced my discomfort with Mr. Combs' advances, but nobody seemed to care." Lil Rod also accuses Diddy of trying to groom him to participate in homosexual acts with fellow producer Stephen Aaron Jordan, better known as Stevie J. In a shocking claim, Lil Rod says Diddy promised that he would secure the Grammy Award for Producer of the Year if he complied. Perhaps most alarming, Lil Rod alleges that he possesses footage he captured at Diddy's home, recorded via hidden cameras allegedly placed throughout Diddy's properties, showing people involved in sexual acts. As the controversy between Diddy and Lil Rod escalated, even more disturbing allegations surfaced. Lil Rod says he was not only a victim of Diddy's alleged misconduct, but also sexually assaulted by a cousin or assistant of rapper Young Miami, who was romantically linked to Diddy. He further alleges sexual harassment and assault by Oscar-winning actor Cuba Gooding Jr. Lil Rod also claims to have footage of a rapper and an R&B singer engaging in sexual activities with underage girls and sex workers, though the names are currently redacted from court filings, leaving the public in suspense. Perhaps the most unsettling revelation is Lil Rod's assertion that Diddy keeps compromising footage of everyone who attends his infamous gathering. This alleged stockpile of evidence, according to Lil Rod, makes Diddy feel untouchable, believing himself above the law. The lawsuit not only names Diddy and his chief of staff, but also MCA Music Entertainment Group and Geffen Records as defendants. In a fourth separate lawsuit filed in federal court in New York, Diddy and former Bad Boy Entertainment president Harve Pierre are accused of raping a minor in 2003. According to the complaint, the accuser, referred to as Jane Doe, was just 17, when Diddy, then 34, convinced her to travel from Detroit to New York City on his private jet. Once in New York, she was allegedly taken to Diddy's recording studio, where she claimed she was plied with drugs and alcohol until she could no longer consent to any sexual activity. Jane Doe alleges she was then sexually assaulted by Diddy, a third unnamed assailant, and Harve Pierre. The lawsuit even includes photos of Jane Doe with Diddy at the studio. Diddy released a statement denying all allegations, insisting he did none of the awful things described in condemning attempts to destroy his character and reputation. Not long afterward, Lil Rod came forward with his own explosive lawsuit against Diddy, alleging sexual sexual assault, illicit conduct, and even threats against his life. Lil Rod also claims to possess damning video evidence of Diddy and associates engaged in these acts. Lil Rod, who played a major role as producer on Diddy's 2023 album, The Love Album, Off the Grid, is seeking $30 million in damages. This sweeping lawsuit names not only Diddy and his son Justin Dior Combs, but also Universal Music Group CEO Lucian Grange, former Motown Records CEO Ethiopia Habtemariam, Chalice Recording Studios, Love Records, Combs Enterprises, and Chief of Staff Christina KK Corum. Lil Rod's legal team argues that this vast network of involvement constitutes a violation of the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, or RICO. His attorney, Tyrone Blackburn, reiterates that Lil Rod's life was permanently altered after he started working on Diddy's project in August 2022. Lil Rod alleges that the nature of his work arrangement required him to live with Diddy and be present in various locations, including luxury homes and even a yacht. He repeats that he witnessed and endured experiences that far exceeded the duties of a music producer. Lil Rod details repeated unwanted advances from Diddy, which he reported to the chief of staff, only to be told that such behavior was typical for Diddy. Blackburn likens Corum's role to that of Ghislaine Maxwell, again highlighting the alleged culture of enabling misconduct. Lil Rod further claims that Diddy tried to manipulate him into homosexual acts with Stevie J, with the promise of a Grammy Award as an incentive. He asserts that the most damning evidence he holds is secret footage of sexual acts, believed to have been recorded via hidden cameras throughout Diddy's homes. As this scandal unfolded, even more shocking claims emerged. Lil Rod says he was assaulted by someone close to Young Miami and by Cuba Gooding Jr., and that he has footage of other celebrities with underage girls and sex workers, though identities remain concealed in court records. Most alarming is the claim that Diddy maintains compromising footage of all guests at his notorious parties, granting him a sense of invulnerability. Diddy's attorney, Sean Hawley, has aggressively denied all of Lil Rod's accusations, labeling him a liar seeking an unearned payday. Hawley asserts they have overwhelming proof that Lil Rod's story is fabricated and claims that Lil Rod's attorney, Blackburn, has ignored their offers to share this evidence. The legal battle now heads to court, with Diddy determined to fight back against what he calls outrageous allegations. Let's turn to some of Diddy's past legal disputes. In 2010, music executive Francesca Sparrow, who had worked for Diddy since 1998, filed a lawsuit alleging age discrimination after losing her job. Sparrow claimed she was fired solely due to her age, despite years of dedicated service. Diddy's legal team countered that the decision was based on business needs and performance, not age, and emphasized Diddy's commitment to diversity and inclusion. After months of heated litigation, the parties reached a settlement in 2011. The terms were not disclosed, fueling speculation about the financial outcome for Diddy. Another headline-grabbing case against Diddy was the so-called paparazzo assault lawsuit. On New Year's Eve 2011, photographer Gustavo Garces stationed himself outside the Dream Hotel in Miami. Garces alleges that Diddy's bodyguards aggressively stopped him from taking pictures, and the confrontation quickly escalated into physical violence. Garces claims he was punched, kicked, and verbally abused by Diddy's security team. In the aftermath, he filed suit, seeking justice for the injuries he suffered. His attorney argued that the attack was unjustified, while Diddy's team maintained that the confrontation was the result of legitimate security concerns. After 6 years, the case ended with Garces accepting $35,000 in exchange for dropping further claims against Diddy, his bodyguards, and their insurance company. In 2017, Cindy Rua, Diddy's former personal chef, came forward with accusations of sexual harassment and poor working conditions while employed in 2015. Rua alleged that Diddy made inappropriate remarks and requests, including asking her to prepare meals after sex and making comments about her attraction to him. Diddy's spokesperson denied the allegations, describing Rua as a disgruntled former employee and defending the work environment as respectful and inclusive. After a lengthy legal process, Rua and Diddy reached a confidential settlement in 2019. In 2022, another lawsuit surfaced, this time from Raven Wales Walden, a former nanny, who accused Diddy of discrimination and retaliation after her alleged wrongful termination following a pregnancy disclosure in 2020. Wales Walden, who claims to be the niece of Diddy's former partner Kim Porter, argued that her family connection influenced the discrimination she faced. At a press conference, her legal team condemned the treatment she allegedly endured. Diddy's spokesperson denied all wrongdoing, stating that Wales Walden was not related to Kim Porter and that her firing was for legitimate reasons unrelated to pregnancy, dismissing the case as a meritless attempt to extort money. That wrongful termination lawsuit remains ongoing in Los Angeles County Superior Court, with no verdict or settlement announced. If you found this video compelling, click on the card now showing on your screen for more in-depth coverage.